A very good morning to you and welcome to the show. This is the Morning Bugle on NCBN. We're coming to you live from the studios at Kuzape in the beautiful city of Abuja. This is the show where we take you through the latest stories that are happening in the nation and the world as a whole. My name is Dorothy Baninga, and of course I am here with my co-presenter Gabriel. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning, Dorothy.
Please, can you raise your energy?
Okay, my energy is very high this morning, actually.
Yeah, so we have very exciting news for you today. Today is Gabriel's birthday. So
okay.
I am going to do the honors of singing him a birthday song.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. I didn't tell you.
Like,
so
this
I
one is a big
didn't want
surprise
you to anticipate it. So I'll sing you a birthday song that you can introduce yourself to us.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gabriel. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
I will not sing the other part.
You.
That's not.
Thank you so much, Dorothy, for that.
You're welcome.
So welcome to the show. It's the Morning Bugle on NCBN, and of course, I feel very honored with this. This is a big surprise for the day.
You're welcome.
I never saw this coming, really.
So like we said, this is the show where we take you through the latest stories. But before we go into our first story for the day, we will go on a short break. Do not go away.
Welcome back to the Morning Bugle on NCBN, and it's time for us to delve into our first conversation this morning, where we take a look at something that concerns all of us, and of course, what the president is saying regarding the state of the economy in Nigeria. The first story says, Nigeria's economy not in distress, and that is coming from no other person than our President Bola Ahmed TINUBU. The story says, President Bola TINUBU has dismissed the widely held belief that the nation's economy is in crisis. He said this on Tuesday in Abuja at the 16th Annual Leadership Conference and Awards 2023 with the theme, An Economy in Distress, Which Way Forward? I believe the president spoke directly against the backdrop,
exactly.
in response to the theme of this award ceremony.
Exactly.
It says an economy in distress. But the question is Nigeria's economy really in distress, or is the president just trying to play safe for the country? Well, moving on, apart from being penciled down as special guest of honor at the event, President TINUBU was also named the Leadership Person of the Year for braving monumental odds to clinch the All Progressives Congress APC presidential ticket and subsequently going ahead to win the keenly contested 2023 presidential election. President TINUBU's comment was coming on the heels of nationwide protest by Nigerians over the economic crisis and hardship that culminated on Tuesday, 27 February, nationwide protest organized by the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC. The resultant effects also led to pockets of separate protests by Nigerians in FCT, Niger, Lagos, Oyo, Sokoto, Kaduna, Kano, Taraba, Osun, Kogi, and Benue states, among others, with some of the protests leading to looting of government and private warehouses and also on trucks conveying food items to various destinations. The president, however, urged Nigerians to remain patient as his administration's economic reforms begin to take effect, promising a more stable and prosperous future for the nation. So I ask the basic question again. Is Nigeria's economy in distress or not, with the reality on ground?
I mean, more than 10 states have actually gone on protest over this issue of the economy. So are we saying that the president is actually giving us sweet words to hide the hopes of Nigerians, or is actually what is happening? Because people wouldn't come out to protest if there was no problem at all. That is to say that the people are responding with what it is that is happening in the present state. But what are you doing about this? That is the question we should be asking now.
But first things first, you have to acknowledge that there's a problem before you provide solution.
Exactly.
Because the president has said that the country's economy is not in distress, which means
he has not acknowledged
based on his own analysis all is well. Now, if you go further, you realize that the president was represented at this ceremony by the Minister of Information, that is Haji Mohammed Idris, right? And one thing is, you don't expect the president to speak otherwise, because as a Nigerian and as the #1 citizen of the country, he's expected to be patriotic, and is expected also to portray Nigeria in very positive light.
Sure.
What would it sound like when the New York Times carries the story, or the UK Guardian carries the story of Nigeria's president says Nigeria's economy is in distress? That is scary. One, scary, it will scare the citizens, because it means if the president has said we are in trouble, it means we are really in trouble.
True.
Secondly, it will scare investors, potential investors. He just returned from Qatar, where he met foreign investors to come and invest in Nigeria. And then in one breath he's saying our economy is in order, we have all it takes to welcome you to Nigeria to invest. And then in another breath he's saying our economy is in distress. How will that sound? It means you are scaring investors away. So for me, I'm not surprised that he's speaking in this manner, because as the president, he's expected to project Nigeria in good light.
Yeah.
But the question still remains, is that the reality on ground? Because just like you mentioned, if that is the reality, I don't think the pockets of protests we've had in several states, including the big one held by the NLC, would have held.
True.
Nobody will protest against nothing.
Exactly.
I want to believe.
There has to be something that is on ground for people to protest. But like you said, this his statements could be something that would help the country.
Yeah.
Yes, in the positively, by bringing investors, people actually coming to bring aid, so that they know that they are investing, what they are investing in is something that could actually yield profits.
Very true.
People will not put their money where they know
that
there's no return.
Okay, let's even take our own organization, for instance, now, for NCBN. Do you expect the MD of NCBN to come forward and say, you know what, we are not doing an NCBN? How would that sound? It means you are saying, don't come do business with us.
Exactly.
So irrespective of what the things are in Nigeria, of what the situation is, the president is expected to speak positive about the country.
Yes.
But beyond that, as you are trying to portray Nigeria in good light, right? If I were him, I would now put in modalities. Okay, I know there are fault lines. I know there are pockets of issues here and there. The economy needs to be fixed and all of that. What do I do? What do I need to do to fix the economy?
Yes.
So that when these potential investors come in, they won't find something different from what I have painted.
Exactly.
Because it is very good to go out there, stand before the UN, before ECOWAS, before AU, and present very good speeches. All right?
I still
Written
have
by
work to do
experts.
at home.
But back home, what is the reality? So more work needs to be done than even speaking. You do more of the work and talk less. Because I can tell you, even the potential investors we are talking about, they are wise. And they have their own parameters. They have information as well. No matter how you paint your economy to be good, if it's not good, they know.
True.
They know. And we've seen reports where, couple of just this morning we saw in the papers that about 767 manufacturers actually folded up in 2023, last year, in Nigeria. And that is quite huge.
That's a lot.
So that's a whole lot. Not 70, not 7. 767 manufacturers folded up based on a report by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria this morning on the papers. That tells you that all may not be well with the economy and something needs to be done about it. So it's beyond just saying it. The president needs to sit up. His economic team he has set up, made up of big players in the industry, the Dangotes of this world, Abdul Salam and the rest of them, the Tony Lumelus. These people need to sit down and articulate a way forward for the country, so that it won't be a situation where the president will go for a function and all he's doing is to defend the economy. I mean, he should be telling us, this is what I've done.
Yes.
This is what I need to do.
Even as he comes out to speak this kind of things, he has to come back home and also make sure that his house is in order.
Very true. Very true. So we hope for more of that. Let's take a look a bit more of what the president said about, the state of the economy. Now, I'm going to quote him. He said, I should start by respectfully challenging the notion that Nigeria's economy is indeed facing challenges, distress, suggesting helplessness. Being at the mercy of the people, we are at the mercy of something we have no control over. But that is not the case here. We have challenging times, no doubt. That's acknowledging the fact that there are challenges.
Exactly.
And that's actually one of the attributes of a good leader. The fact that, okay, there are challenges, and you have to, first of all, acknowledge that fact, and then, like I mentioned earlier, you can't find solution to a problem you don't even know exists. All right, so He said, okay, let me go back to where I started from. We have challenging times, no doubt, but these times have also been marked by unprecedented opportunities to research and curse and build a sustainable economy away from the rent-seeking and waste that was once the order of the day. So these are quite reassuring words from the president.
Yeah.
And we just hope he takes decisive action. Decisive.
That's to show us
The
that he's
political
actually
will.
doing something.
Yeah.
Not just folding hands and looking at Nigerians, but even as he has made this statement, there is something on ground. So let's hope that this distress will be something that it will end.
Again, I ask, is there a distress? These are questions that Nigerians on the street watching right now should be the ones to answer.
Exactly.
For you and I, we may not know the pulse of the people on the streets, and the president may not know. He works based on the information he's fed with. So for Nigerians, based on your experience right now, do you think the economy is distressed or not? I'll leave that for you to answer. It's the Morning Bugle on NCB, and we're going on a quick break. We'll be back to bring you our second conversation on the show. Please don't go away.
You're welcome back to the show. This is still the Morning Bugle on NCBN. And quickly, we'll go into our next story. The story is concerning food smuggling in the country and what the federal government is doing in regards to this situation. So quickly, we'll go through the story. It says, the headline says, food smuggling, FG intercepts 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. In continuation of measures to address the food inflation and cost of living crisis, the federal government on Tuesday said it has so far intercepted 141 trucks attempting to smuggle grains and other staples to Niger Republic, Chad, Cameroon, and the Central African Republic. So, Gabriel, I'd like to ask, concerning this food smuggling issue, are we not the ones that are actually our problem in this country? Because we're already complaining, there's no food, and then there's some people that are actually trying to smuggle food from outside the country.
Yeah, you see, one thing about humans and Nigerians in general is we are always very quick to blame government for everything. Like when it comes to blame. Oh, government this, government that, president,
True.
Very easy. We forget that everything that happens, we also have a role to play.
Exactly.
And the point you made is very valid, all right? We find ourselves in a food crisis situation, and the government says, in the meantime, it's not going to be a long-term policy. But for now that we are, battling inflation in terms of food and other commodities, and we are seeing, we are having a low supply of it, don't export these commodities to other countries for now.
Exactly.
They are mentioned. We have Chad, we have Cameroon, we have Central African Republic, Niger Republic. These are all our neighbors that we trade commodities together. But for the meantime, don't do this. But some people won't listen. So to answer your question, to a very large extent, we are our
actually
own problem.
our problem.
Government have their role to play, and we also, as the citizens, have a big role to play in everything that happens.
Exactly. The Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Bashir Adeniyi, said that the service had within 2 weeks arrested about 120 trucks smuggling food items from Nigeria, while the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission stopped 21 food trucks from leaving the country on Tuesday. As the CG was disclosing the measures being enforced to ensure food security at the House of Representatives in Abuja on Tuesday, truck drivers who have been targets of attacks by hoodlums have threatened to declare a strike if the situation persisted. Several trucks and warehouses, mostly owned by manufacturers and other members of the organized private sector, have come under attack from hoodlums as the food inflation and the cost of living crisis in the country spiraled. Last week, some youths stole food items from trucks stuck in traffic along the Kaduna Road in the Suleja area of Niger State. So I go back to say, we are struggling, there's no food, people are attacking warehouses, and still there are the people that are trying to smuggle food out of the country. So how is it that we as Nigerians are helping ourselves in this
very big question,
situation?
really, and I actually wish we have the answer to that question. But we must not let me emphasize this, right? We must not get back or go back to the NSAS era. At that time, the protests began peacefully, and before you knew it, it was hijacked by hoodlums, and then they were attacking not just government warehouses now, but even warehouses owned by private individuals who were doing purely business. Now, we condemn all forms of attack on warehouses, but more condemnable is that on people who are trying to make ends meet. These are people who have invested their money, and then you go attack their businesses because you think you are hungry. The same way you are hungry is how they are hungry. They are not the government. So we must condemn this attack on trucks that are moving food items from point A to B. I saw the one in Niger State, in Suleja, where the youth, set up bonfires and were, stopping trucks from crossing, and then they just pounced on these trucks and looted all the food items. You can imagine the millions of naira the owner of those goods must have lost. And this person is no government. Even if it's government owned, looting is not encouraged. So it's something we must condemn. And secondly, let me go back to the customs aspect of the story, because this information was disclosed by the CGT of Customs, Bashir Adeole, MFR, at the House of Rep. Now, we must commend customs for these seizures. We said this earlier. You cannot be moving food outside the country when the people in-house have not eaten. How can you try to quench your neighbor's house on fire when yours is on fire? It doesn't work that way. So the custom and the EFCC should, strengthen this collaboration and see that any form of smuggling, because this is smuggling. Government said in the meantime, no importation of food items to other countries. So if you are trying to do it through any other means, that is smuggling already. So the law should be made to come to bear in this case.
And we see that the truck drivers are threatening that they will go on strike if nothing is done about the situation. And we know what it will mean if these truck drivers decide to go on strike. That
will mean more hunger.
Exactly. There will be no networking. Food cannot move from one point to the other. So it's going to be very bad. It's going to look really bad. So we do hope that something will be done about the situation.
Very true.
This food smuggling, we commend the customs and the EFCC for all that they are doing to make sure that this situation is being handled. We do hope that this will be the end of this food smuggling crisis.
Definitely. And we are using this medium to call on every business person. This is a time to be patriotic. You cannot want to invest your money in another country, even though you may make more profit from there. But it's time for you to at least serve your people within the country. Exactly. After that, when this entire phase is over, which I believe is temporary, you can now return back to your normal business. But for now, come on, it is what it is. Exactly. Let the food items stay here. Exactly.
And that is the size of our story, of this particular story. We will quickly go on a short break and bring you the Commerce Council.
Tips for parents during school resumption. Going back to school after the holidays is always a big deal for both parents and their children. On the part of the children, it signals the sudden end to days of unhindered fun and activities, and for parents, it is back to the rigorous routine of school runs and related planning and spending migraine. A parent or guardian understands the dreaded but necessary regimented days of waking up early, joining in the homework sessions, pick up and drop off itineraries, play an emotional headache on you. Then, add the expenditures on new books for the new term, fees and other related costs. Preparing for school after holidays, be it short or long, is not always a ride in the park for the kids. They understand they are now leaving the fun-filled days behind for a new academic term that is usually characterized by classworks and even homeworks. With these inevitable changes, there is no doubt that the back-to-school season can be a lot easier for the kids and the parents with early preparation, as the onus lies on the parents or guardians to put in place preparatory tools that will aid and guide a steady return to school. Here are financial tips for parents planning ahead of school resumption. One of the things that causes worry for any parent is the financial demand that comes with the resumption. However, having a financial backup plan takes off the recurring worries for school fees every 3 months, as you can also plan to pay the tuition fee in installment or upfront. Get organized. Start early on savings. Make plans for the kids' resumption to avoid running helter-skelter in a bid to source for funds. Use credit wisely. Once credit alerts enter, do well to manage it wisely. Don't buy new things. Cut back on recurring charges and avoid buying new things for now, as that shouldn't be your priority. Lastly, always go through your budget so as to serve as a guide and a reminder. Similarly, remember, Omicron variant of COVID-19 is still much ravaging the earth. So here are a few safety tips for returning students on COVID-19. Remind your children and wards to always wear a face mask or a face shield. Maintain social distancing, use a hand sanitizer, or wash their hands regularly. On the part of school management, there is the need to reduce the number of students in buses that convey them to school. School management should adopt e-learning techniques so as to reduce the effect of students having close contacts.
You're welcome back to the Morning Bugle on NCBN, and of course that was Commerce Council, where you learn a thing or two on how to invest your money and of course your time wisely, because they say time is money. Time is money. Sure. It's a wrap this morning on the show. Thank you very much for investing your time with us. We'll be with you again same time tomorrow. My name is Gabriel Onu.
And I am Dorothy Beninga. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.